Hi there, I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to Your Health Matters, brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center, your community-owned hospital. As you know, this program focuses on different healthcare issues, programs, and services that KRMC offers to our community. I've got a great guest on the show today that's got some exciting stuff to tell us about, so I hope you'll join us. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Robin Poole. She's a nurse at the Wound Care Center here at KRMC. Thanks for being on the show, Robin.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, first of all, I want to know a little bit more about Robin. How long have you been in Kingman?
I've lived in Kingman since I was 5 years old.
Oh my goodness, you're practically born and raised. I mean, that I think counts as a Kingmanite.
It does, yeah. We moved here when my dad got out of the Navy.
Oh, okay.
He got a job at the power plant in Laughlin, and so the choice was either to live in Kingman, Havasu, or Bullhead.
Oh, I think you made the right choice.
We made the right choice. We heard it snowed here. So, yeah, I started kindergarten here, and I've been here ever since.
So, well, of course, kindergarten then. So you didn't do a lot of traveling as a child. Your dad was pretty much done by the time you got...
We just had our educational summer vacations my mom took us on.
Oh.
Yeah, where we look at every canyon in the 4 states. We go to Washington, D.C., so that's we traveled some,
but not as like they talk about a military.
No, I'm not a military brat at all. No, I'm a regular brat.
Yeah, okay. But you pretty much you grew up in the Kingman Unified School District.
I did.
Know it all.
And I graduated in 1993.
Very good.
I got a Navy scholarship to U of A.
Oh, very good.
And then I then left U of A after a year and a half and came home. My dad got sick with cancer.
Oh,
and so then I finished nursing school out here at Mojave Community College.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So again, you're born and raised practically.
I'm practically born and bred here.
And you've seen a lot of changes in Kingman then in that time too.
I really have. I've seen a lot. I can't believe how big this town is getting. It's
from
crazy.
What it was when
from
you
what
were
it
5,
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm married and I have 4 kids.
Very good. So now they're in school here.
Yes, they go to the academy.
Oh, very good.
They are 12, 10, 5, and 3.
Oh my goodness, very good. That keeps your life busy.
Yeah, they're cute. 1 girl, 3 boys.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's a handful. Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And then you're working full time in our wound care center. Now, I know. Okay, so you went to MCC to become a nurse.
Right.
But now somehow you've specialized into wound care.
Well, what happened is that when I first got finished with school, I went into long-term care. I worked at the Gardens for almost 10 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
I noticed that one of the big things when you're in long-term care is your skin. You always see the commercials, you always hear about these horrible bed sores. And so I really enjoyed it. What I liked about it was that I had a captive audience. This is where the people lived. And so I could watch how their behaviors were, how I can alter their wound care to make it suit them better.
So you're talking like bed sores or from sitting in wheelchairs? From
sitting in wheelchairs, laying in bed. A lot of people get wounds from their diabetes. They get it from having poor circulation.
Right.
And so I got quite a variety to see, and I got the spectrum from prevention to healing up wounds. And I was fortunate because my employer felt that I should be certified.
Oh, good.
And so I went and I took a course in Las Vegas through the Wound Care Educational Institute.
Oh,
and
had
so,
no idea there was such a thing.
Yeah, there is. And then I got certified, so I have a wound care certification. It's a WCC.
Okay.
It's good for 5 years. I've had it for the last 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very
and then, oh, my nose itches.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. And so I did that. And then after that, I was having my 3rd child, and I figured, and at that time, the place I was working at was switching from 8-hour to 12-hour shifts.
Oh,
and that was really hard with
tough.
my family. And so I left there, and I went to the health department.
Oh,
and that was very interesting.
I bet.
It's like
That's
disease
from Mojave
CSI.
County.
From Mojave County, yeah. You get to investigate pathogens and bacteria, and it was really interesting. And then I got, I would talk to Debbie DeMars a lot from this hospital.
She's been on the show before.
She has, and we would talk about infections and things, and she said to me, you know, they have a wound clinic here. You used to do that, didn't you? And I go, well, yeah, huh? And I kind of thought about it.
Yes.
And so after my 4th child, I decided that maybe it would be, I really missed it. I didn't realize how much I missed the patient interaction.
So you didn't get that as much at the health department?
I didn't. There were some times you did, like on shot day, and some of the times for women's health, you had some.
Yeah, you came and worked some of our health fairs.
And I really like health fairs. So there was some, but I didn't realize how much I missed it until I called Al, who was the recruiter at the time, and I told him that I hadn't really seen that there was a wound clinic here. I didn't even know about it, or the hyperbaric chambers, and so he gave me a tour of the hospital. And it just so happened that someone was getting their bandages changed by the nurse that had worked there before me, and it kind of piqued my curiosity. I was just surprised how much I missed it. So there became an opening, and I applied for it.
Super. And how long ago was that?
That was 2 years ago.
Very good. So we're blessed to have you here.
Well, thanks.
So wounds, I mean, you must have a strong stomach.
I do. Smells don't bother me. Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's probably a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And plus having 3 boys,
they're smelly. They're smelly.
Well, and you got to be pretty much, I mean, I had 2 boys, so I know things can't gross you out.
No, things don't gross me out. I've never been grossed out. The only thing that sometimes grosses me out is phlegm.
Oh.
And so our department's in the respiratory department, so that always cracks me up because I see them and I'm like, ew.
I'm glad I don't have to do that.
I don't have to do
They're looking at you going, ooh.
Ew, I don't want to do that. I think you kind of know what to expect. So we see a lot of people who have pressure ulcers, and sometimes it's not that typical immobile person. It's someone who may have fallen. And we're so concerned about their injured area, like their broken hip, their broken leg, that they didn't move their heel off the bed.
Oh. Yeah.
They kind of focus on the injury and forget about the other parts. We've had a couple people that have gone in who had these diabetic comas, and then their circulation gets compromised and they get a wound. We see a lot. It's very interesting. There's always a story behind it. We even have the funny ones where, you know, I ran into my dishwasher and it didn't heal. Oh. Because they have bad circulation, bad nutrition, and so we have a lot of wounds. It's really fun. We have 3 different doctors that are really good.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. What doctors are affiliated with the wound care center?
We have Dr. Jay Kahn, who's our infectious disease.
Right.
And we have Dr. Jason Allen, who's the podiatrist in Kingman. And then we have Dr. Kevin Brown, who does family practice.
Okay. So those 3. I wasn't sure which 3 were associated with the wound care center. Cool.
They each have an assigned day, and then we see their patients that are referred from their primary physician.
And I think now that you bring that up, it's a good point. We have to make sure our audience knows that they do need a referral from their primary care physician. They can't just like show up at the main hospital door and go, hey, I got this owie. I heard about your wound care center. Could you fix this?
That's true. Right? Yeah. Especially the way insurance companies are. We have to make sure, and we want to make sure that everything is all right with them before we see them.
Sure, right. Because and you have many different ways to treat wounds too. It's not just putting a Band-Aid on. When we're talking wound care, that's totally different, right?
Right. We have a lot of things. We have a lot of different compression bandages. We have a lot of bandages that absorb extreme amounts of drainage. We have silver-based dressings. That's a natural antimicrobial. We use Meta honey, which is medicinal honey. That
really?
Yes, it's amazing.
So do you have Dr. Bees or something?
No. It's a special honey that's only grown in New Zealand, and we use that. Yes, and then we have a lot of things, and then we also use negative pressure wound therapy, which is a wound vac, and I brought one with me.
Okay, so we're going to check that out. That's kind of cool.
It is.
And I know there's kind of some gross things, too, that you can do with wounds, right? We're going to talk about that?
Sure. There's things called medicinal maggots.
Maggots, yeah.
And as we all know, everybody has taken antibiotics before.
Yeah.
And in the Civil War, they noticed the history of the maggots was that the soldiers that were injured on the field that had maggots growing in their wound healed better.
They healed better.
They healed better because what a maggot is a baby fly.
Right.
So a fly comes, lays its eggs, and its natural instinct is to eat dead tissue, become a fly, and fly away.
Okay.
And so what happened was maggots made a comeback because we have so many drug-resistant bacteria
out there now
because of all the antibiotics.
Ah.
So we have the capabilities. It's something that we usually don't do on an outpatient basis because we don't want our patients to take their maggot dressing out in the community and drop it right in the middle of Walmart. And so
sorry. I'm just picturing this going, no, that would not be good.
It would not be good. But they're engineered. They're specific flies.
Are they from New Zealand?
They're not from New Zealand. They're from Monarch Labs.
Okay.
It's an entomologist actually grows them.
Oh, wow.
And at a wound convention I went to, I learned how to put together a dressing because it is a special dressing. You have to have prep the area of the wound around it, the peri wound, that's what we call it, so that as the maggot eats, it's
eating dead stuff and not the good stuff.
And not the good stuff. It naturally won't eat the good stuff, but what it does is, as a natural bug, it eats and then it excretes. So you have to build a dressing so that the maggots stay inside. There's a special screen that goes on it, and then you have a dressing that absorbs all the drainage.
Okay.
And then they get big and fat.
I had no idea.
I know.
So they get big and fat and then they fly away?
No, then we take them out.
Oh, okay. So you keep an eye on them.
You keep an eye on them.
Okay.
And so that's okay. And then we have a lot of other things. Like we use a product called Santal, which is an enzymatic debrider. It's an ointment that goes to the cellular level of the tough tissue and breaks up the bonds. And it turns the...
So that's like when something unhealthy has started to heal kind of thing?
It's when it's... there's 3 phases of wound healing. You have the nice pink healthy tissue.
Right.
You have the black dead tissue. And in between you have, it's called non-viable tissue. It's yellow. Oh. Or brown. Yeah. And that's the stuff that has to come out for the wound to heal. And one of the things we do at the wound clinic is we provide sharp debridement. I am able to debride with sharp instruments, and so are our physicians, to remove all that unhealthy tissue so the new tissue can come in and the wound can heal.
Okay. Yeah. That doesn't sound like fun.
It is fun.
Well, what about from the patient standpoint?
Well, we make sure that they are comfortable. We use like topical anesthetic, and no. We're not a slasher movie. I don't even watch those. So no, we try to make sure they're comfy.
Okay, well, I'm sure you would. I just wasn't sure how much you could, because I've heard sometimes with that yellow tissue and stuff, sometimes that you can't kill or deaden the pain.
Right. Well, usually that tissue is dead. It's the healthy stuff connected to it that hurts. Yeah. And we don't try to do it all in one visit. Okay. And we try to make sure the patient's comfortable and use techniques to kind of remove that tissue, like the Santal or the sharp debridement or dressings that absorb a lot and help it soften up so it comes out easy.
That's pretty amazing. I had no idea there was that much stuff involved.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff, yeah.
But I got a question quick back to those bees, the honey you were talking about. So what is it that makes the honey medicinal?
It's sterilized honey, and they noticed that when it comes from the leptospermine tree, which is a special tree grown in New Zealand. They've tried transplanting the tree and growing it somewhere else, and it doesn't work. There's something about the bees in that climate and the tree, and what they noticed is that this specific honey will break down the dead tissue also. And what's really nice about having both options, the Santal and the honey, is that the Santal is a petroleum-based product. And it can't go in our hyperbaric chamber.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
And the honey can go in our hyperbaric chamber. So we like to have a lot of options for our patients depending on what else is going on with them.
I just had no idea. That is really cool. It is, Robin.
It is. I'm glad.
I can kind of understand now why you get excited about it, because there's so much to it.
There is.
And we're just starting to talk about it, because I know we want to see your little machine work, and we're going to do that after the break, and then we can talk about the Hyperbaric Center a little bit, too. Okay, so we'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away, because this is pretty cool stuff. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Robin Poole. We've been talking about some kind of gross stuff, but very interesting stuff too, Robin. Robin's the nurse in our wound care center, certified wound care. Yeah, that's cool.
That's right.
So before I forget, we were talking before the break about the bees and how they're from New Zealand, and it's a special tree. And so there's something about that tree, obviously, that makes the honey special.
That's exactly it. And so what happens is that bees' honey is made from whatever they're pollinating.
Right.
So that's why a lot of people who have allergies try to find local honey,
Right,
because then it
'cause
helps them with their allergies of local plants. So it's that specific tree in New Zealand
Okay.
that they've tried to grow elsewhere, and it just, for some reason, it doesn't create the same product.
Okay. And there's something in its pollen that creates this awesome
really
honey.
good
You know,
honey.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we were talking about different kinds of wounds and the different tissues. There's the healthy and the not so healthy and the dead.
The dead, yeah.
So that's gangrene? Or what is gangrene?
Gangrene is a lot of I think it's a term that people use loosely.
Right.
And there is what usually there's gas gangrene, where something kind of percolates inside and creates these gases, and then it just kind of blows up because of the pressure of the wound.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And so gangrene, usually people hear gangrene, they think of dead black tissue.
Right.
And now they call that necrotic and eschar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
So-
just dead. And so the way you treat it is you either, if it's due to an infection, then you get the right antibiotics. If it's on something where there's no blood circulation, the antibiotics won't reach it. Sometimes there has to be a surgical intervention. And then that's when the physician usually decides that and refers a patient to a surgeon.
Okay, because it's the amputation. And you're saying that's usually because of a circulation issue. They're not getting the blood flow, so the body can't heal it.
Exactly.
Right?
And you know, sometimes it doesn't matter what kind of dressing you put on someone. If they're not eating and they don't have the blood flow, it's not going to heal.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But then another form you have, we were talking about before the show, is this vacuum. Which I just got to watch this thing work.
This is really
because
okay. So usually there's a bunch of kids that will come in and tour our facility, and this is their favorite thing to play with. So I asked Tanya Watson if we could have one. This is called a wound vac.
Okay.
This is the size of the machine that would be inside the hospital.
Okay.
Usually people have a smaller one that they carry with them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So they're a
It's in a
portable
little
thing?
purse.
Like I could
You just walk
vacuum my
around.
own wound?
Yeah.
Oh.
And what it's usually designed for is a wound that has quite a depth to it. And it needs to be filled in with the granulation tissue. It's usually a clean, non-infected wound.
Okay.
And some of the things that we see are people who have the pressure ulcers on their bottom. If they clean it out, there's kind of this crater. So what happens is that, and I really wish I invented this, but I didn't. Or else I'd be really rich.
You would have been rich, huh?
Yeah. This here is the canister that whatever you're going to be pulling up from the wound will empty into. So I'm going to put that on. I usually don't deal with this machine, so
Oh, it's a little different.
forgive me.
This
Here we
side.
go.
There we
Let's do it on this side.
There you go. Okay.
Wait. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh, are you going to edit this? There. So there's that. There's the canister. And then what happens is, I'm going to use this chair since I didn't bring a wound with me.
Didn't happen to have a portable
Didn't happen to have a
wound.
portable wound with me.
So, okay, I'm just going to watch. I'm not
You're
going
going
to
to watch? Okay, so this is what happens. This is our chair. This chair got a horrible wound. It's the saddest thing.
Poor chair.
This poor little chair. He wasn't listening. So what happens is you protect the skin, and usually there would be a wound. I would cut a hole the size of the wound on this.
Okay.
And then you put this on. And there would be a hole the size of the wound. And what this would do is it would protect all the skin around it, because this is going to create a suction. And the last thing you want is for this to be any place else but the wound, because it'll create like a little hickey. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm throwing that on the floor.
I can see why the kids get excited
The
about
kids
this.
love this.
Do you use that word hickey with them?
I do use the word hickey. They get so excited.
Oh my goodness.
So look at this. My perfect wound is the size of a circle.
How perfect is that?
So then this would go inside the wound.
Okay.
This foam. This company is so smart. They lease this machine to you. You can't purchase this.
Oh.
You apply to use it. You tell them what's wrong with your wound, and they decide if it's appropriate. And this sponge is a special micron for the size of the hole.
Okay.
So that it provides good granulation. So then you put that in there, You cover it up.
With another, okay.
With another one. And I'm so thankful that this wound was so perfect. This usually never happens.
Of course not. No.
Of course not. I have to say one of the things that we
Life is only perfect on my TV show.
Perfect on your TV show with their perfect wounds. And then it has this disc here.
Okay.
So this connects to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then this connects to the wound. So you have to, this is why I usually don't use scissors this sharp. You cut a little hole here. And then you put this disc on it. It's really easy. Look, 1,
But
2.
even numbered, yeah. 3, okay.
Yeah.
So I might even be able to figure that out.
You could do this.
But you're saying that there's portable ones like this too? That
There
people,
are.
So you do this in the wound care center, but then people take one home with them to keep
They
it up?
take it home, and sometimes they'll come and see us every time it needs to be changed, which is 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Or we work very closely with our home health
Oh, sure.
nurses,
okay.
and they can do it.
That makes sense. Okay.
So then we're going to turn this machine on.
It's kind of scary.
It is.
We got to keep moving here, but so
There it is.
while it's working its magic here, let me just ask a couple other things. The type of wounds, you're saying this is like just, they're healthy tissue wounds,
Right.
but they're just like pockets?
They're like
And
pockets
so it's
that
gonna
need to,
suck up.
it's going to stimulate the wound bed to build more granulation
Okay.
tissue. And then it
Wow.
removes a lot of the fluid. It's really,
It's a pretty cool
it's
thing.
pretty cool things.
Oh, it talks to you too. That's amazing. Now, the hyperbaric
I was going to turn
center.
it on. Do you want me to wait?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it going to make a lot of noise?
No, but it's going to suck this down.
Oh, well, okay. Let's watch.
You want to watch?
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to turn it on.
Oh, cool. I'm glad that's not on me. We did talk about that before the show. I'm really glad you decided to do the chair, not me. Okay.
And then look, it's already closed up, and it collapses down. And then if this was a true actual wound, you would see fluid coming through this tubing.
Okay.
And then it's just amazing. And then it gets changed. You can see the depth just decreases in the wound.
Wow, that's very cool.
It's very cool.
So I think we're going to have someone in the future on the program to talk about the hyperbaric chamber.
Yes.
That's part of the wound care center. And it's literally almost like the dive chambers that they use when people get the bends and stuff, right?
It is. And the way we work hand in hand with the hyperbaric people, there's 13 Medicare approved diagnoses for the hyperbaric chamber. And some of them are involved necrotic tissue or tissue necrosis caused by radiation. What happens is it used to be years ago that they just kind of, I don't know if you've had Robert from the Cancer Center here yet.
Well, we've talked, and we've had Joe and Dr. Nagel.
Right,
and,
and they've gotten very good at specializing the radiation now.
Right, right.
It used to be that everything got blasted. And what they found is that years later, there would be damage.
Oh, wouldn't show right away.
It doesn't show right away. It is years later after the person's cancer-free, and they'll notice, and especially they'll notice it in, we've had a couple people in their jawbone.
Oh.
They've had radiation for cancer in their neck years and years and years ago. Wow. And then they go in for some dental work, and their bone is just really starting to deteriorate, and hyperbarics is approved for that. Wow. Osteomyelitis, which is a bone infection.
Okay.
And then we get involved if there's a wound, and a lot of times the other 11 diagnoses involve diabetes.
Wow. You know what? We're going to have you back on the
show.
Because we're already out of time.
Oh.
But there's so much more to talk about, and that's so cool. And thank you for bringing all this
you're welcome.
cool stuff
sorry
with
I made
you.
A mess.
No, that's okay. We'll pick it up later.
Okay.
That's what the help's for.
Scott can do that.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did. We'll see you next week. I'll have another great guest on the program.